Hello and welcome to today's Heartlift with Janelle. I am Janelle and I'm so happy to have you back here with me for part 2 of my conversation with Angela Correll, author of Restored in Tuscany. Today's episode is brought to you in full by Heartlift International, a 501(c) dedicated completely to making home and family the safest, most secure place on earth. If you're looking for a place to make a tax-deductible donation right here before tax day, you're in the right place. Your support would mean the world to me. It would enable me to do what God has called me to do here on this podcast and in books and resources and videos and all of the things. To learn more about Heartlift International and to make your donation, no donation is too small. Just visit janellereardon.com/heartlift-international. I thank you in advance, truly, for supporting and believing and allowing this podcast to be ad-free, which perhaps is a beautiful byproduct of you becoming a member of the Circle of Trust. In part 2 of my conversation with Angela, we talk about many different things, but there's a golden thread that's woven throughout our conversation, and it has to do with the beautiful theme of restoration. In Angela's life, that meant restoring a home in a small Tuscan village. We're not all going to do that, nor are all of us called to do that, and some of us don't even want to do that. But we are called to restoration. It's the gift of Lent, isn't it? That God sent his son Jesus to make his way to the cross, to die for our sins. This is the message, so that we could be completely restored. So as you listen today, maybe listen between the lines, like we say here in our community. Where are you needing to be restored, or are you in the restoration process right now? What do you hear that might help you move through it with greater ease and greater peace? Let's welcome Angela back to the show. I have to ask this. This is just what I want to get out of your beautiful, wise heart. You write, women in middle age often find themselves in a position of managing schedules and generations. I haven't heard it written that way. I have just come from managing generations. This is all new to me. This is my third grandchild in 2 years, and I'm having another one in July. So all of a sudden, I am grandma, Nona, And
I'm Nona too. I love
you
that.
are? I love.
Yeah.
I want to be Italian. I'm telling you, you're living my story. I'm coming. I'm visiting. You write, women in middle age often find themselves in a position of managing schedules and generations, along with a busy home and work on top of that. Control is important to hold it all together at times. Boy, you read my mail. Talk about your own moment. I'm asking you to please talk about your own moment. That moment. Here is the kicker. Here's the kicker. When you realized control can go too far.
Yes. Well, when it really hit me, there are probably many, but one that I recount in the book is during the restoration of the house, our 2 adult daughters, I invited them to go with me on a trip to Italy, because I needed to basically work and kind of check up on everything. And so they were coming along with me. Well, our youngest, and I inherited my children on the marriage altar. They were all teenagers, but they are my kids, and their biological mother. I know it is. Their biological mother graciously shares them fully with me, and so she's been wonderful to share that motherhood with. But anyway, I invited them to go, and the youngest had just been accepted into a perfume school in Grasse, which is the epicenter of perfume in France. I know, and that's her
kidding me?
Yes,
I've
her
never known
heart's
anybody
desire. It's the strangest thing. I mean, but
That's like a
there's
Hallmark
this whole
movie.
subculture,
Yeah.
yeah, of being a perfumist. And
Hmm.
so she got accepted. And so in my typical kind of let's kill two birds with one stone, which I think women are really good. If we can hit these two things at one time, or if we can figure out how to,
Yeah.
wind
Let's
this
make it
up over
happen.
here,
Hmm.
make it happen. And so they were going to be there, the week or so. And I thought, well, gosh, she was trying to figure out her housing, and she's the
Sure.
youngest. And you know how we tend to do with the youngest, we
Oh,
tend to
yeah.
try to, help them a little bit more, whether they
Hmm.
want it or not. And she was trying to figure out her housing. And I said, well, I'm thinking, I'm just going to solve this problem. Y'all just run up to France while we're there because it's only 5 hours
Close.
away. Yeah, it's like Chattanooga from Kentucky. Just drive up there and figure that out. Spend 2 nights. I'll pay for a nice hotel. Y'all can enjoy that time, get to see the countryside. And me, that actually, I love that kind of stuff. That's
Me too.
exciting. I would love a new adventure.
Put me on a
Well,
train.
yes, exactly. What I didn't for the youngest child, that was wonderful. It was great. But then what I did inadvertently is create a lot of stress for the older daughter, who was really
Oh.
just wanting to come and chill out and be in Italy for the week and not have to take care of anybody or do anything.
Get it.
And so, and she graciously went along with it, but I think she was getting nervous as it got closer about the drive. And so I ended up like driving them to the rental car place. So thinking I was cutting 45 minutes off. And so they got the car. So I'm thinking, oh, it's only going to be about 4.5 hours now. That's not that bad. And it ended up, they went, I heard very little from them. They came back.
Oh,
When I picked them up at the rental car place, it was like the tension was so thick
oh
in the
no.
air.
I get it.
And I knew something was wrong. And
Mm,
anyway, that night at dinner, it just kind of exploded. And they
wow.
were just at each other's, they at each other.
Hmm.
And both
Oh,
were just, stuff was coming out that probably had been suppressed for a long, long
oh,
time.
I get it.
And it was a
That needed to come out,
terrible.
probably.
It
I get it.
did. And
I get
honestly,
it.
we all look back on it and
Hmm.
realize it was a defining moment especially
Mm,
for our youngest daughter. But it was a defining moment for me as well because
mm,
I really, I was asking the Lord that night in the middle of all the hard stuff,
mm.
okay, where did I go wrong? And what I realized is I was trying to solve a problem that wasn't mine to solve
Say
because
it
they
again.
were adults.
Say it again,
Yeah,
Angela. You need
I
to
was
listen,
trying
heart
to,
lifters.
yes, here we go. Here we go, ladies.
Oh, this is
I
a
was
good
trying to
should, by the
solve a
way.
problem. Yeah, that was not mine to solve. So we tend to do that as women, but I really did it that week. And so that was the thing I learned. I thought, you know what, these are adult women. If they come to me asking for help, I'm going to be more than happy to help. But I
Absolutely.
don't need to be overstepping and creating pathways that they don't necessarily need to walk down.
Hmm.
And what the punctuation mark on all of that was a big exclamation when a week later the news broke that the Morandi Bridge in Genoa collapsed a week later, and that was the exact bridge they had driven over and back going to France.
Oh my goodness.
So
What did you think? Like
I,
how did it
well,
punctuate you?
I said, first of all, thank you, Lord,
Yes.
because if that had happened, I would have I don't know,
Oof.
it would have been,
I know.
that would have changed
Can't go there.
everything.
Hmm.
You can't go there.
No.
But thank you, Lord, it didn't. But it just reminded me to not get in the way of what God may be doing with other people and our
There you
children in
go.
particular.
Oh, here, make me
And
cry. Hmm.
you can just kind of step right in the middle of that and cut out work He's trying to do.
I've heard God say specifically the strongest whispers several times in the past decade with my mother, with other things. Get out of the way. Get out of the
Yes.
way.
Oh,
Mm,
yes. And I
wow.
did it with my mom. And
Mm.
yeah, I did it with her too, just trying to fix and control. And, it's just,
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay. That is another whole episode if you would ever want to come back and talk about getting out of the way
Sure.
and letting go of control. And I mean, I've just never heard anyone say control can go too far.
Mm,
And that makes me want to
mm-hmm,
weep because I
mm.
feel like as an older woman, an elder in the body, that younger women need to hear that now. Control can go too far. You know how when someone puts words to some spiritual movement in your life that you don't know what the movement is,
Yes.
and all of a sudden
Yes.
that's why I love reading and writing books and writing and all of that, because you have the words I couldn't find for myself. And where
Yes.
in my life have I been letting control go too far? And women all deal
Yes.
with control. We all deal with it. Some of it's passive aggressive,
100%.
some of it's in your face, depending on your personality type or all the above. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your last powerful, and then I'm going to have to let you go, which I don't want to do. You were wary, W-A-R-Y, of telling your mother, this is humongous, of telling your mother about purchasing the Tuscan home. In fact, in life, you said, not everyone will share your excitement. This is a don't
Yes.
cast your pearls before everyone, but this is
Yes.
your mama. And you're right. How can
Exactly.
we move past others' opinions to fully live our lives? I want to close with this because I feel like I'm there. My mother is passed for sure, but we all hear our mother in our ear for our
Oh,
life. Right. So how do
oh,
we do this?
yes.
How'd you do this? Help.
Yes. Well, when you read the book, you'll see I
Yeah,
didn't
can't
handle it
wait.
well to begin with
Oh,
because I
good
kind
to
of
know.
sulked her.
Thank you for being so honest.
No,
Thank your
I,
daughters for us. Thank your daughters for us. If I could, I would, for sharing, because it's hard as an adult parent. I always say this, young mamas can do mama blogs and mama podcasts because their kids are young. I mean, kids might hate them when they're, you know what I mean? But it's like now when it's adult
yeah.
children, it's hard to share the nuts and
Yes.
bolts and the practical where it all implodes, like at that table for you that night. You
Mm-hmm.
shared just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Very ethical storytelling. Beautiful. Just
Thank
enough for
you.
us to go, yeah, I've been there. Uh-huh. Felt like hell. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, okay. So thank you for telling
Yes.
us you didn't handle things well. I love that. It's very
Yes.
honest.
No, I definitely try to fail forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of was skulking around like a teenager, honestly, for a bit, and then I finally had to tell my mom, and she reacted exactly like I thought she would, and
Hmm.
which I'll leave that for the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just there's it would have been nice if she had shared my joy, and because then you know how we love to share. If something
Oh,
wonderful is happening, you want to tell somebody who gets it and who you
yeah.
know is going to share the joy, because it almost magnifies the
It's
joy
shared joy.
when you can
It's double joy. Yeah.
it is, and you celebrate it with the people. And so I knew it was going to be the opposite. It was going to be maybe a little bit of a
Wow. Wow.
deflating, like, oh,
Hmm.
but I think I was kind of prepared, and I didn't expect. I think that, our expectations sometimes
Hmm.
set us up for a wrong thing. And I really didn't
Yes.
expect her to respond well. And she wasn't bad, really badly, but it was just not,
Wasn't what you
great.
would
But
want from a
wasn't
mom.
what I would like. Yes, wasn't, but it had
Like,
been kind of
what?
that
Are you, do
way
you have
my
a
whole
room for me? Like, are you
I
building a mother
know,
suite?
yeah. Exactly. But this travel tension had existed with my mother since I was a
Ah,
child. So
travel
it wasn't
tension.
something new. Yeah, she just was really happy to stay in her home and maybe take a day trip, an occasional trip to the beach. And she just didn't have that wanderlust that I was born with.
I love
And
it.
so I think that had always existed between us. And so I knew,
Mhm.
that it probably was going to go how it did. But I also realized that, my mother birthed me, but at the same time, I have a different calling. I am a unique image bearer of God who's got to
Yep.
walk out my own giftedness. And I have to respect where she is and give her
Hmm.
grace
Hmm.
to respond badly
Oh,
and
that's
just give her that
wise.
grace.
Give grace for
because
someone to respond badly is very wise.
yes,
Wow.
and it's really I was giving her what I wanted her to give me, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's sometimes what we have to do if we want someone to respond in a certain way, but we also just have to give them the grace not to, and that really is what I wanted from her. So if we're just giving grace to other people, then somehow it made it okay. I mean, I was really okay with her not responding because I didn't expect anything different. I'd
Mm-hmm.
already planned just to give her the grace to
Yeah.
respond however she was going to respond. And then what I tried to do is, I think sometimes go into the heart of what it is about that. And for my mother, she
Mm-hmm.
felt threatened by me
Ah.
not being around and
Mm-hmm.
insecure that I wouldn't be here.
Yep.
So, what I tried to do going forward was to include her in it.
Mm.
And when I was there, I'd try to FaceTime her and
Oh,
talk
that's
about
so
her
sweet.
room and all these
Yes.
things I could do to just try to draw her in so that she didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
threatened by it, but
Mm-hmm.
that she felt a part of it in some way.
Well, you were
And so
mothering her,
those,
weren't you? I mean, that's mothering her.
sure,
You were parenting her.
absolutely. Oh, very much, very
Yeah.
much. Oh, that was that the tables definitely turned
Right.
actually a
And I
long
think they
time ago.
do as we get older,
They
but for some of us it's earlier. I mean, I've always
yes,
parented and always mothered my mother. I did. So
yes.
as you were saying before, complicated relationship. But I think maybe something else that is important here to mention, we've been talking a lot about our cognitive distortions, right? So what happens in those moments is you personalization is a cognitive distortion. It's definitely hitting my heart hard because that's what I would do. I would take her
Mm,
rejection or her threatened or
yes.
her even her jealousy, that
Mm,
the envy of, wow, I never got to do that, or I wish I could do that, or whoa, wow, what a privilege. You're just so privileged. I mean,
mm,
I can hear that, like, oh, you bought a
sure,
house in Tuscany. It's like,
sure.
right. So there will be critics always, but not personalizing it. Would you say that that is true?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think being sensitive I it's not something I'm wearing on my sleeve. Well, actually I am now with
Mhm.
this book launch.
You sure
I
are.
wasn't before, but I am now. But there was a time where I was very quiet about it because I didn't know exactly how to talk about it. I mean, it's common in
Yeah.
our area, maybe Virginia, you can have a second home in Florida and that's kind of okay, but who
Or
has a
next,
home in
ours
another
is the
country?
Outer Banks, or like I said, I've
Yeah,
not
yeah,
been to
North
Kentucky, but
Carolina. Yeah,
or I don't know
exactly.
where the
So,
it place is in Kentucky to have a second home
yeah,
or
well, it's
beach
Florida,
house.
pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah,
Yeah, but not
it's
Tuscany.
no, not Tuscany. No, that was very, very strange. And so I think I was a little maybe insecure
Hmm.
about talking very
Thank
much on
you.
the front end.
Hmm.
But then I finally thought, it's been instrumental in this change for me. And of course, I'm writing about it, so I'm just going to have to become comfortable with it and understand
Hmm.
also that it's been a privilege,
Mm.
but there are also it's a blessing and a privilege that I feel fortunate to be able to steward in this moment.
Hmm.
And it may not be forever, it's just in this moment. And so I want
Right.
to steward that. The other people have different dreams, and those
Hmm.
dreams should be pursued. And
Hmm.
there are ways to do it, even, there are ways to go after those dreams. So,
Regardless of the response of others. And that's what I feel like is most important here as we close, because moving past others' opinions is really critical. More for depending on your personality type again, right? So for some it's
mhm,
not. For some it's not a problem at all. But for someone like
right.
myself, who is a people pleaser, recovering,
Yep. Yes.
someone whose others' opinions have shaped my life, and I have never had been able to have my
Yes.
own opinion. But I think it's true, Angela, to end here as well, is that it's not all Instagram.
Mm,
I have been very privileged just having a daughter who's traveled the world, an older daughter, but my other daughter lives in St. Louis. My son lives in Kansas. But life is life. Life is life. When I went to Tuscany was my dream, I thought,
mhm,
but it It wasn't. I stood on the dusty road. We were in an
Mm.
agro-tourism place with no air conditioning and
Yeah.
mosquitoes and no screens, and it was so hot. And we had given
Mm.
ourselves 6 nights and 7 days in Siena, Tuscany, because it was my dream. My husband, like, here you are. Here you
Yes.
are. Here's your dream. But
Yes.
prior to that, we had started in France and gone to Switzerland and drove the whole way. Switzerland was really like where I had my,
Gorgeous.
oh my gosh. My husband and I both wept at a restaurant in this little Swiss village that was like out of Heidi. Cows with
Oh,
bells and geraniums.
oh.
All there was. It was
Mm.
like we both sat there and went, how can we leave? My husband said, I can't go back to my office. And the hotel was for sale. So it was like,
Oh.
you did it. We weren't brave enough. Dang it.
Well, yet.
Yet.
Let me say yet.
Thank you. So on the flip side of, oh my gosh, we bought this house in Tuscany, we restored this
Mm,
house. No, it's life is life.
so
And I know
true.
even in Belgium in 6 weeks, life became life. It just becomes Uruguay. I stayed in Uruguay for that long life just becomes life.
Yes, absolutely.
And it might sound all that, but what your goal is, I know, I hear your heart is, and it's that very first, can we have the same restoration of spirit without renovating a house in a village in
Mm,
Tuscany? That's the goal.
exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Yes,
it
of
can be as
course.
grand and as glorious and as powerful
Hmm.
anywhere in the entire world. I can sit under
Absolutely.
a tin roof in Kenya like I did with 12 beautiful women in the rain on plastic chairs with a silly vase of
Oh,
flowers in the middle, and it'd be as glorious as visiting Bruges in Belgium. So,
absolutely.
what's our closing word from your heart here?
Yeah, when we talk about that, I think the Lord really does meet us where we are if we are open to this journey. And as you said earlier, if our hands and heart are open,
Mhm.
I think He will meet you where you are and take you on the journey you need to go on.
Yes.
And for me, with a renovation past and a love for Italy, it just happened to collide in Tuscany. That's
Mhm.
not going to be everybody's story.
No.
So you have your own unique story that God is so excited and anxious to play out with
Waiting.
you.
He's
And
just waiting.
yes, waiting. So I think that really is the exciting part of it is what does that look like? And just keep your hands and heart open.
Yes, because the greater reward and benefit is the manifestation of joy.
Mm, that's
It's the
right.
manifestation of meaning, of when he goes, I have just been waiting for you to open your hands and your heart. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be what we embody in that place and space, whether it's in Suffolk, Virginia, or Bruges, Belgium,
Hmm.
or Tuscany, or wherever.
Yes.
Because at the end of the
Yes.
day, we end up with ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And that's what happened. I mean, I take me to Tuscany,
You took
so
you.
there I am.
And I remember walking into the place that my husband and I rented, and he goes, "Here it is. Here's your Tuscan." It was a blue desk. I'll try to find the picture.
Oh,
You can sit here and just write in your journal. Here's your dream. So precious of him. I never
oh,
once sat at that desk. I never once wrote
oh,
in that journal. It was so hot. And there were
oh,
mosquitoes everywhere.
yeah,
So
yeah.
but wherever, however,
Mm,
whatever, today we're ending with being, I want you, Heartlifters, restored in blank.
mm,
For beautiful Angela, it was Tuscany. For me, it was Bruges. It's recently. Uh, I sat in a little beautiful medieval city I journaled, I wrote my heart out.
love
Where
that.
is it for you right now? Where is it? You're going to be restored in what? But first, you have to open your hands and open your heart, your mind, your soul, and your body. Because at the end of the day, you're going to sit at the table with you. Angela, oh my gosh. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. What a
Thank you.
lovely time.
Deepest part of my heart. May God use this book in a mighty way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Heartlifters, what did you hear? I'll share, and I hope that you share as well. I think what spoke to me the loudest was Angela's question, am I trying to solve a problem that is not mine to solve? Which, as in Angela's case, it showed that she was exerting control and going too far and overstepping boundaries that she didn't need to overstep, which ultimately resulted in a heart rift, a rift in relationships that needed then ultimate repair. So in what ways in my life might I be exerting control and going too far? How might I be overstepping boundaries, emotional boundaries, relational boundaries? And just how am I getting in the way? I added my thought that many times over the past few years, I have just heard that whisper, get out of the way. Get out of the way. You're in my way, Janelle. You're in my way. And it's taken me a while to really, really understand. And her greatest takeaway to me was that, God can give us grace for someone to respond badly. Regardless of the response of others, we often have to move forward anyway. Her words there, give grace for someone to respond badly, reminded me of when we were talking to Dr. Bruce and Tony Hebel about pre-forgiveness. To me, that's the definition of how we are to move through our life, to have a state of grace, a atmosphere of grace in which we can receive someone responding badly without us responding badly back, if that makes sense. So regardless of the response of someone, we may have to move forward in an area. It might make someone uncomfortable. Like we said, it might make them jealous. It might make them angry. But we have to move forward in grace into that which we believe God has called us into. So I wanted to close. I was spending some quiet time today where we try to practice our beautiful silence, our stillness, and our solitude in this community. And I heard a whisper to read Psalm 56. And this is from The Voice. As I read it, I pray that you will hear your own whispers from God Himself. Show mercy to me, O God, because people are crushing me, grinding me down like dirt underfoot all day long. No matter what I do, I can't get myself out from under them. No matter what I do, I can't get myself out from under them. My enemies are crushing me, yes, all day long. O highest of high. For many come proud and raise their hands against me. When struck by fear, I let go. When struck by fear, I let go, depending securely upon you alone. In God, whose word I praise, in God I place my trust. I shall not let fear come in. I shall not let fear come in. For what can measly men do to me? All day long they warp my words. All their thoughts against me are mangled by evil. They conspire, then lurk about. They eye my every move, waiting to steal my very life. Because they are wicked through and through, drag them out. In your just anger, O God, cast them down. You have taken note of my journey through life. You, God, have taken note of my journey through life, caught each of my tears in your bottle. But God, are they not also blots on your book? Then my enemies shall turn back and scatter on the day I call out to you. This I know for certain. God is on my side. This I know for certain. God is on my side. In God, whose word I praise, and in the Eternal, whose word I praise, in God I have placed my trust. I shall not let fear come in. For what can measly men do to me? I am bound by your promise, O God. My life is my offering of thanksgiving to you, for you have saved my soul from the darkness of death, steadied my feet from stumbling, so I might continue to walk before God, embraced in the light of the living. That last phrase, so I might continue to walk before God, embraced in the light of the living, is my intention as I move into Holy Week. May it be yours as well.